let's lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now are you, dear old man? Whisper what you bring to me. Tell me if you can. When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney broad and black, with your pack you'll creep. All the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know.
So guys, I had to move back into the house because it was too bright outside and I couldn't talk to you guys and show you what I wanted to show you. So I'm back inside the house and yeah, I'm having my coffee. But I wanted to just share something because wow. So I bought this, I love granola, and I think I didn't had a minute. I didn't like bought some for home consumption, and I sort of bumped into this granola Kellogg's with mixed fruit with coconut. I got this from Quality Supermarket in Nalia, and oh my god, it's so nice. Like wow. My mom loves it. We love it. Like we've been eating it. It's already open. You can see it's already here. Like I bought it yesterday at 1 and it's already here. So yeah, like it's really nice. So if you're into granola and you want to experiment, please check out Quality Supermarket. They have amazing varieties. They had like classic, then they had like roasted oats, and they had some with just strawberry, like then had mixed fruit with coconut. I love coconut, so we love coconut at home. So yeah, anyway, and then you guys know I've been reading this book, What Happened to You, probably, oh my god. And like it's not a book that you read, you rush through, because it has just so many interesting and lots of profound stuff. I'm on chapter 4. I think I may have I'm reading this part. It's called the, I don't know if you can see, it's called The Spectrum of Trauma. And I just said, you know what, let me stop and first talk about this, because Chimpitidi Deko, like I was like, wow. See, I've underlined I don't know if you jeez, the book is it's opening, but I want to show you what I've underlined. I don't know if you can see, like, because I feel like, can you see? It's too bright, eh? But see, I've underlined some of that because it's my book, so I can underline. Anyway, I wanted to just talk about something that has jumped out, and I was like, I need to talk about this now, because, so let me read for you. There's a part where she talks about, she talks about trauma and stuff like that, and then she sort of like defines what trauma is. I love the definition, because I feel like if you're into like self-development and personal development and just sort of like, you know, becoming a better human being, that's a word that we hear so many in almost every book, in therapy, like everyone like, oh, trauma, but I felt like, do we really know what trauma is? Like, I'm not certified, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counseling psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm just a student of life. But there's, okay, so she describes that in essence, trauma is the lasting effects of emotional shock. Wow, emotional shock. I was like, yeah, Yeah. You know, and it makes so much sense because I feel like sometimes we think that, at least I used to think that trauma is like when something like major bad happens, and yet sometimes it's not necessarily something like how can I say, it's not like a chronic illness that happens to you or something, but sometimes things happen and they just shock you, like, you know, emotionally shock you, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Like, so I feel like, yeah, like I love this definition.
Good friend, and that's in the thick and thin, and I know it's never.
Anyway, so guys, I hope you can hear me. I'm outside, and so I decided to just come here. I was talking about something before, then my battery ran out, and then yeah, I ended up just having to go and do some errands in the house. Something about a cold Coca-Cola, it's just so nice. Anyway, so I was doing a review of this book, and I was talking about something that stood out for me. So yeah, so I'm reading chapter 4. I've just finished chapter 4. I'm now on, I don't know if you can see, but I'm on chapter 5 now. But let me just go back to chapter 4. I was talking about the definition of trauma that is given in the book, and I was like, oh my god, that is so amazing. So basically they define trauma as any emotional shock. I'm trying to find the page, and yeah, trauma is the lasting effects of emotional shock. And I think what stood out for me was just like, I think Dr. Perry says that there is no specific definition of trauma that is like a universally agreed upon by the different practitioners and stuff like that do like therapists and psychotherapists. But for him, I think he said that, and Oprah also agrees, it's just that the whole idea is that trauma is subjective, you know, and it's very interesting because it's something I've often had, and I even used to say it myself. I'm like, just because I feel like something is non-traumatic to me, so I used to think it should be the same for everyone, you know, because I'd be like, come on, like that situation is not that big of a deal, so why is that person making it such a big deal, you know? But then in this book, it says that trauma is subjective, and it's on the person. It depends on the person who is going through the trauma, and also at the timing, you know. So like it's such, if you can get your hands on this book, please do, because let me see, am I recording? Okay, yeah. So I was saying, if you can get your hands on this book, please do, because it's such an amazing book. And chapter 4, I feel like is one of the core chapters in the book, because it talks about, one, how trauma is subjective. It defines trauma for you. It also talks about things like timing, like, you know, no matter, there's times in everyone's life that are so crucial and so important. And I think they say that, I think the first 6 months of a child are very important. So if a child goes to a traumatic experience, then it's possible that if they may still carry it throughout their lives, and it will show up in different ways. And wow, like if you see the way I have read like my book, I've written so many things. And then also another thing that really stood out for me was just the whole idea of worthiness and the feelings of unworthiness. Let me read for you. It says, so this is Oprah who's saying, I believe that the despair that runs through nearly all destructive behavior is a deeply rooted feeling of unworthiness. And there's a difference between thinking you deserve to be happy and knowing you are worthy of happiness. Like I said, I even put like 3 hearts, because I'm like, yeah, like, you know, because I think when, like, I'm so happy to see there's like a huge buy-in into affirmations. I remember in 2018, I sort of like, I don't know how, I listened to, she's called Louise Hay. She has like all these affirmations, so I used to listen to them. And I remember visiting a friend of mine with them, and then she was like, what are those you're listening to? Like, you know, someone repeating the same things. And at that time she didn't get it, but I'm sure she gets it now, because now everyone is like talking about affirmations and how important it is to talk to yourself nicely, to do the work and stuff like that. And it's amazing that many of us, including myself, like there's days when I've struggled with unworthiness, you know, and yeah, like it was this book guys, this book is mind-blowing. So if you can get your hands on it, I do definitely recommend. Christmas gifts, gift someone what happened to you. It's so nice. My book is very dirty. That shows how loved and used it is. So anyway, I cannot go through all the things that this chapter talks about because I'll be preempting the book, but you really should get your hands on it. For me, the thing that stands out is that what can be traumatic and what you consider a bad event is very subjective. So this whole idea that you hear people say, us, we're Africans, we've been through some nasty stuff and we're still strong, we don't need to be in therapy and stuff like that, we don't need to talk to anyone, we don't need to to say we are damaged or traumatized or something like that. That is very subjective. And just because you have that muscle and you are able to pull through some of the dark stuff does not mean that someone who maybe has lost their mother, or someone who has lost a child, or someone who has lost a job, or should deal with it the way you are dealing with it. And also another thing that they talk about is COVID, and how people have talked about how COVID is a traumatic event and for everyone, and that's not true. I like that Dr. Perry pointed that out, because I felt like that's not true for everyone. I was privileged enough to be able to be home in the first lockdown, and I honestly cannot tell you how blessed and happy I was to be home and be able to work from home, because those have been my most amazing years I've spent with my mom. Like, we bonded with my family, with my sisters, like we really became so close because of those 6 months I was home. That's the longest I've been home in my adult life. So for someone else, COVID being home was like a curse, like they wanted to leave. So you cannot say that everyone has experienced COVID the same way. So yeah, and for some it will be traumatic, for some it will be uncomfortable, for some it's been stressful. I cannot say it's been traumatic. For me, it's been stressful. It was stressful when Uganda was going through the Delta, because I mentioned this before, I have a sister who's a healthcare professional, so it was just so scary, but I cannot say that I was traumatized. I was extremely stressed, but I was not traumatized. So different people have reacted to this situation differently. There's those who are traumatized because they've lost their living, they've lost everything they have been working for. So guys, I cannot, this book, like if I sat here to talk, I'll talk like for 2 hours. This book is amazing. Anyway, yeah, so I'm taking some Coca-Cola and just chilling, enjoying my Sunday. So hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are pouring into yourselves and nurturing yourselves and nourishing yourselves with whatever that makes you happy. Tomorrow is a new week, and I'm counting down, guys. I'm counting down to my greatest surprise. I'm counting down. I can't wait. Meanwhile, I'm trying to talk to my mom to see if I can coerce her into doing a YouTube video with me, but I don't know what topic I will ask her to talk about, because I feel like she's such a wealth of wisdom, but she has so many stories also, and she's also a feminist. So I'm so like, I have all these things I want us to talk about, but I don't know, am I ready to launch her in this space? Does she even want, like, she doesn't mind, but I'm so protective of my family and friends. Like, I'm very protective of them. So anyway, let's see. So